All right, good morning everyone. I am sorry that I'm not with you in person, but I think this will be a really fun assignment for us. We're going to complete the first part of our donut picture. And so I wanted to show you, I got a coffee cup. Oh, there's some stains in there from my tea, but that's okay. And I wanted to show you, you should have it's about 3 inches in width. Okay, and that works really well for the size of paper that we have. So I want for sure for you to have at least 2 full circles on your paper, and then you can go ahead and put in some half circles just to fill up your paper. So I just set it on my paper and I used my pencil and just traced that circle around the cup. So now what we're going to do is you're going to add a smaller circle in the middle. Don't worry if it's not exact, it's okay. Donuts are not perfect. And so we're just going to go ahead and add that circle in the middle for all of my pieces here. And obviously I'm going to use like a half circle on the ones that are off of my page. So once you have that, if you need to pause the recording, that's okay. Go ahead and pause it, and then you can just pick it up after you're done drawing your circles. So if you remember the actual video that we watched last week, she started with one color. And so I'm going to kind of have you look at my palette here because, excuse me, I want to make sure that you're putting the proper amount of water on your pigment. Too much water is going to make it too runny. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. So I'm going to use this blue first. And if you'll take a look, there is a glimmer to the actual pigment, but it's not overfilled with water. Please make sure you're using the paintbrush that was given to you for your watercolor paints. That's the best brush to use. So I really dipped it in 3 times, dipped it in water 3 times, and then I'm stirring my pigment so that I have a good amount on my brush. If you remember from last week, what we're going to do is we're going to start on the edges and make that the darkest color that we can. Please make sure that you are staying nicely in the lines of your donut, okay? And again, we don't want this to dry before we start working on blending it. So you want to try to work as fast as you can, but don't rush. It's okay if you have to go back and re-wet this first color. As you see, I am dipping into my water periodically just so that my pigment is staying a good consistency, giving it more moisture. So I've got the edges done. Now I'm going to go and do the inside edge of my donut, okay? Again, trying to keep as best you can around the edges and keep it as close to your drawing as possible. Great. Okay, so I've got my 2 darker colors here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to rinse off my brush a little bit, and then I'm going to start pulling in the color from both sides. I don't have any paint on my brush, but I'm kind of rubbing a little bit on that color to kind of bring that color into the center of the donut, so that you have a lighter color with the interior part of your donut. That's going to give you that nice curved effect. So I just keep dipping my brush in water. I do have to rub a little bit in case that has kind of dried a little bit. Rubbing that paint into the interior of your donut is totally fine. We want to get rid of that line that we've made. So I want to still keep the edges as dark as possible, but now that you see we have this nice curved effect, you have your inner edge that's darker and your outer edge that's darker. And so then this inside should be as light as possible. That's going to give you that three-dimensional look. Then I'm going to leave that donut alone. And then I'm going to move to my next color. Alright, so now I'm going to choose another color. I'm going to do something that's opposite on the color wheel. So I'm going to get into my red. Again, I'm going to make sure that I dip my brush in the water about 3 times to give that pigment some good water moisture so that I'm able to pick it up quite nicely on my brush. And then again, I'm going to start on my edges first, and I'm going to give me that nice dark line on the edges of my donut. Again, remember, because it's watercolor, you do have to, go a little bit quicker than regular paint because it does dry. But if you'll see when I do my blending, that if you just add more water to it, it'll pick it up really nicely. Alright, now I'm going to go into my center, and I'm going to do that center circle. It's okay if it's not exact. Now I'm ready to just use water, and I'm going to just pick up that paint from the outside and bring it in. Same thing with the inside. So I'm just using water to pull that pigment into the inner part of the donut. Remember, you want to get rid of this line right here. So if you rub it a little bit with your paintbrush, that line is going to soften, and that's what you want. You want that line to soften a little bit. You're going to pull that paint both from the inside and the outside. Remember, too much water is not good, so you want to kind of, when you dip your brush, you can kind of hit it off a little bit so you don't have this dripping brush coming onto your donut. Okay, I like that for my first painting. I'm not going to pull too much because I still want that darkness around the edge. So I'm going to be done with my wood donut. Alright, I'm ready to do my next color. I'm going to choose a brown because I love chocolate donuts. Again, dipping my brush about 3 times into that water to give my pigment really good wetness. And then again, I'm going to start at the edges. Make sure you're not going to have your arm on your other donuts. You might want to let them dry before you start that. But I'm just going to go ahead and go for it, making sure that the outer edge is nice and clean. I want to go along the lines that I've established with my pencil. The darker color on the outside. And now I'm ready to do that inner circle on the inside. Good. Now I'm ready just to add my water by pulling that color into the top part of my donut. Remember, not too much. You do not want that dripping and dripping on other parts of your paper. You want that line to kind of be softened. So you want to soften that inner line of your paint. And you're pulling your paint into the center of your donut. That's going to give you that nice 3-dimensional effect. Okay, and I'm stopping. Too much is not good. So once you have your pigment covering your donut space, you're going to stop. So I want you to finish up both of these donuts, and then you're done for the day. You'll take a picture of this first process, and then Thursday we're going to meet together in Zoom, and we're going to do the second layer. Alright, I wanted to show you that I gave myself a lemon donut and also a green mint donut. There's my strawberry, my blueberry, and my chocolate. Once you have your first layer for all your donuts, you are finished, and you can go ahead and clean up. Make sure you take a picture and upload this first step into the assignment today. What's wonderful about this is you can stop and start the video as much as you need to work on your techniques. I can't wait to see your donut pictures. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you on Thursday.